You are listening to the Mark Guzman Podcast Experience.
Okay, so we are recording now, and this is going to be a fun episode because we've got Sam Lubman and Robert Andre here. They're both on my media team, and Sam's our podcast producer, and we decided to do something a little fun for a Thanksgiving episode, right, Sam? This is when it's airing?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And this episode, we're literally just going to sit here and talk comics, movies, and whatever else we want to talk about. So the big topic we all want to actually on our outline here is Justice League. So I actually just saw this movie yesterday. So I did do my homework on this one. And okay, your guys' initial reaction. What do you guys think of the movie?
My review was I didn't hate it, which was
about similar to mine.
Yeah, which was generally my reaction on all of the DC films minus Wonder Woman, and slightly Man of Steel. But yeah, I feel like this was a step in the right direction for DC, but still it was just riddled with problems here and there. But for the most part, I did enjoy myself at the movie theater. So there was that.
Yeah, like I had a good time. Like I was entertained, but I feel the same way. Like at the end, I was like, okay, this was okay.
Yeah, it did its job. It was definitely better than Batman v Superman. So depending on how much of an accomplishment that is. But
Not
yeah,
very.
yeah, I mean, there were some parts like in the middle. It seemed like they were trying to force a conflict when like bringing Superman back with the mother boxes, which I mean I called that happening when the movie first started showing previews, but you know, it's just like they're trying to like create this conflict where all of a sudden like, hey, let's get into a 2-minute argument about whether this is a good idea or not, and then it's like, oh, we'll just go bring him back anyway and just not talk about how we had a fight about it just 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, you know the guy that I thought was pretty badass that I wish they showed more was Aquaman.
Aquaman.
That guy is literally the epitome of man. Like he's the manliest man that's ever existed, and like the whole movie, I was just like, "Yep, he's a dude." Like,
and I thought
he can take on anyone right now.
He did a pretty good job of kind of capturing, you know, who Aquaman is. Like, you know, he is this, you know, badass, you know, god of the sea essentially. And I
know what's funny when I was sitting there and they were talking about Aquaman in the movie, the very first thing that came to my mind was Mermaid Man from SpongeBob.
Well, that's what the old isn't that kind of like his Mermaid Man's kind of based off Aquaman in a sense, isn't he? The costume, the old costumes are similar. Though I am glad we don't have to, you know, the old Aquaman, you know, orange, you know, scaly costume. I'm glad they didn't go with that. You know, Jason Momoa with the tats. I think that was much better.
Yeah, the scaly looking tats was where it's at for sure. I thought it was definitely that grittier look that I was like, all right, that's cool. It seems like more realistic too.
Yeah. The Aquaman standalone movie looks like it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed of how little we saw of Atlantis throughout the film.
That could be like a tease though for the standalone movie maybe.
But it definitely got me excited to like see more of it. Like I thought a lot of the fun of the movie was watching him just shoot in and out of water and zooming in through the water and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, like he's having fun with it. He reminded me a lot of like Spider-Man swinging around and having fun in New York and just kind of really enjoying his powers. And whereas I would have loved to see more of that, I think like it definitely got me hyped up for Aquaman movie.
You know, I thought it was pretty badass when he was surfing on top of the alien bug down to the ground. Yeah.
He just had the most awesome scenes, just jumping around from parademon to parademon. Just he definitely was one of the more badass characters. Him and Wonder Woman, who pretty much those two kind of just carried the load in terms of the fight scenes.
I was laughing at your Facebook status that said this movie should have been called Wonder Woman and Those Other Guys.
Yeah, because she essentially carried. I mean, most of the fight, the two big action sequences, you know, her and Aquaman are doing most of the fighting. Flash is kind of going around, you know, moving people out of the way. I mean, at least he has a job. Cyborg's doing his, you know, nerd computer stuff. The Batman is just kind of like, you know, that's great, you brought us together, but now you're just getting in the way. And
I thought Cyborg was a great MacGuffin for the movie too.
I like Cyborg. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was sick.
He was great, and like I don't know what I was expecting from Ray Fisher from his. I don't think I'd really seen him in much, and I was like, yeah, he looks kind of dull in the previews, but when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I dig him. Like, I wish we had gotten a little bit more of his backstory because I mean I know it from the comic books and everything, but 90% of the people going to these don't know all the characters' backstories and stuff.
the Cyborg I remember the most is from the original Teen Titans.
And
who
when
is-
he said "booyah,"
Yeah,
in the-
I was like, all right, at least they got that. But like,
Yeah.
I just remember from the original Teen Titans, he was kind of like a cocky asshole counterpart to Robin. He's kind of a hot-headed, more of like a teenager, I guess. So I was kind of hoping to see a little bit more of an animated Cyborg in
Okay.
types of his personality that would fit that. This kind of dull, robotic, bland. I mean, maybe that's kind of that's kind of what the new DC is. Is kind of
dark and brooding, all the characters.
but like, let's get old. You don't need to have him be the brooding type. Let Batman, Superman brood, and let the other guys, be the fun people.
There was a great internet meme where it was like, "Dear DC, this character is supposed to be dark and brooding," and it's Batman, and shows a picture of all the other characters in DC. These ones are not.
Pretty much, yeah.
I thought I was really excited of how they did Superman though, not the mustache gate, but that was just so glaringly bad. But I really loved his interaction, and how he was portrayed. He wasn't just like this badass Kryptonian that he kind of was before. I feel like he stopped mid-fight to go save people, and he had more this Boy Scout personality that
Do you think more of a classic Superman?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I loved about it. I was like, this reminds me of more like old school Superman, not trying to be super dark or anything. Like Superman was like the happy-go-lucky guy for the most part, and I really liked that they kind of brought that out more significantly.
I'm not gonna lie though, that did kind of throw me off that he was all of a sudden the lighter Superman all of a sudden. Like, especially, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy, but I could have sworn a couple times when he was talking, he had a bit of a southern twang in his voice, and it was just like, wait, why is this happening? Why is Superman suddenly all cheerful and happy and speaking with a bit of a southern accent? Like, what's going on here? Is this just what I'm gonna have to accept? All right, I guess so.
Someone else commented on that saying like his accent slipped a few times while they were shooting it, and whereas I didn't initially pick that up. Like I rewatched some of the scenes, I was like, oh yeah, totally. Like I don't know if that's like a reflection of his acting or if they're like, hey, throw you're supposed to be from the South, pick up a little.
I don't know if I'd call Kansas the South. But...
Yeah. But I don't know. I thought he did a great job though. And I think the real breakthrough character of the entire film was Flash though. I think he stole the show for a lot of it, and he was just like that humor and the glue that holds the whole team together. I feel
you know what I saw, and I totally agree with that. And I feel as if Flash is like Spider-Man.
Sure, yeah.
And the
totally.
Avengers and the new young kid who's coming in, joining the team, and
has all the funny lines.
Exactly.
His Pet Cemetery line. Who'd
who'd
have thought that a Pet Cemetery joke in a Justice League movie would actually go over well?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, my only thing with the movie is the same thing with Batman vs Superman, is the introduction of so many different characters, and you saw it also with Suicide Squad. So many people coming in at once, all these characters that could have solid individual movies by themselves, and then slowly combine them all together.
Kind of like what Marvel did.
Exactly.
I mean, it kind of makes you think, maybe they should have just done that first. Do individual movies, build up to the Justice League, and then but they're kind of doing it backwards, where they just jump right into the ensemble, and then they're going to go to standalone
one. Yeah, because they have got the Flashpoint movie, and that's I think the one to be most excited about in the whole DCEU, is because I feel like that's their chance to be able to rewrite a lot of the stuff, and I think that one's going to be the most exciting. And I think
do they have a release date yet for that?
I want to say 2019, but I don't even think they've started filming on it yet, so I don't know how that could be possible. At least 2020, it has to be.
I mean,
Now Ben Affleck as Batman. I have to admit, he's a really good Batman.
I think he's a great Batman. I think honestly he's got the perfect look for it too. Like if you look at a side-by-side comparison of the original animated series and Ben Affleck, the characters look very similar, like same jawline and everything. But I think with all these scandal allegations against Ben Affleck and like all this stuff, like how all these movies are essentially.
Is he one of the people with the scan?
Yeah, he groped a MTV reporter during an interview back.
I didn't hear that. I just heard he was getting on with the nanny.
So there's that, and then he made a pretty inappropriate joke during Justice League press tour or whatever. So
What did he say?
It was a reporter asked him, who would you like to see added to the team if you could see? And he at first has this fantastic answer that's like, oh, I'd like to see more females on the team to like diversify the team more. And I was like, oh, that's a very good press answer.
Mhm.
And then she goes, oh, if you had like a character like Supergirl or something on the team, what would you guys do? And without missing a beat, he turns to her and goes, have you been paying attention to the news? And it was just like this, like, oh, geez.
What?
Yeah, so like it was like, why would you make that joke, man? Like it's so bad. But Jake Gyllenhaal, I guess, is up next for Batman.
Yeah, that would be awful. I saw that he's looking
did
for
you see Nightcrawler. Like have you like his acting range is phenomenal.
I
in
just
my
don't
opinion.
see him as being intense enough to be Bat. I mean, honestly, I don't like Ben Affleck as Batman. He somehow was the best part of Batman v Superman. Again, however much credit you want to give there, he was hands down, I think, the worst part of this movie. Because he's just so bland. He was just showing no emotion. He was just like, I'm tired, Ben Affleck, and I clearly just don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Well, he did announce that he wasn't sure about coming back as Batman because
No, then we never should have got him to begin with, because you gotta commit to that. One of the reasons why Christian Bale is the best Batman, in my opinion, is he was committed to it, and he actually wanted to be Batman. So I mean, if Ben Affleck wants to step down, hey, if we can, that means we can get Christian Bale to jump back into the suit where he belongs. He won't, but I'd be down for that.
I think Christian Bale was a great Bruce Wayne, but an awful Batman.
well,
Like,
his voice became a meme everywhere.
Yeah.
God, like
Well, at least he tried to do the voice on his own, unlike Ben Affleck using the microphone voice, which I think that's just a total cop out.
I actually like it.
I did too.
I mean, it sounds good, but it's still kind of a cop out.
But I mean, like, I feel like that's what Batman with, like, an unlimited disposable income, that's how he would solve that problem. Like, he wouldn't want to risk people being like, hey, that kind of sounds like Bruce Wayne. Like,
Yeah, like when they asked him, "What's your talent?" and he says, "I'm rich."
Yeah.
I mean, that was the quips they got in this movie were okay. They weren't as good as Wonder Woman. Then again, nothing was.
That was a good movie.
yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was just an incredible movie, and honestly, I mean, the fact that Gal Gadot did Wonder Woman and Justice League in the same year and killed it in both movies, I honestly think she should be up for Oscar nomination because of that.
She's fantastic.
Hashtag Gadot for Oscar, or however you want to put it.
She has the most infectious smile I've ever seen in my life. When she like smiles at the camera, I swear to God, I blush. I'm like, oh, she's so pretty.
Yeah, and it's in a badass way too.
Oh,
I guess she
totally.
served a couple years in the Israeli army
Mhm.
Yeah,
back in the day, so it's just like not only is she's beautiful, but she's
she can actually fight and kick
total
ass.
Yeah.
badass too. Like, don't underestimate her. Again, yeah, that's why she carries these movies. But what I was making about the
And it's true that she only got paid like $300,000 for Wonder Woman or something like
Wait,
that, right?
Oh, that's
what?
depressing.
Really?
Yeah, apparently she got paid like peanuts, like nothing. And then they came out and said, "Oh, well, every person's first role in a movie as a head person or a head hero gets paid $300,000."
Yeah, I'm sure that's totally true.
I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. is like just cracking up in his office right now. He's like, that sucks. I got like 15 mil.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, right here, her salary was only $300,000.
That's disgraceful.
well, that's Hollywood for you these days. Maybe someday. Maybe
need
someday we'll
change.
clean that up, but slowly but surely. But one thing I liked is it seems like one thing I noticed from Wonder Woman and Justice League from the old movies is they are trying to add more of those light humor quips in there, like Marvel is just completely mastered,
Yeah,
almost to almost overdoing it in some parts.
and
But Justice League, I feel like Wonder Woman had a bunch of them. Justice League, they kind of scaled it back. You could definitely it took away some of the joy from watching the movie, I think.
I think some of the best moments were those little quippy moments where it was like when or just like those throwback comments that like refer to the previous movies, like when Superman picks up Batman and he goes, "Tell me, Bruce, do you bleed?"
That was-
I was just like, "Oh snap!" And then like after he leaves, yeah, something's definitely bleeding. Like I was
Stuff like that was good, or Batman saying, I'm not the one who brought a pitchfork to a fight.
Yeah. That one I was like, the part that I thought was so silly in the movie that just I was shaking my head out, like I'm pretty sure people could hear me shaking my head, was the part where it seemed like Superman was keeping up with the Flash. That no, like,
I don't know. Isn't that where the whole who would win in a foot race, Superman or the Flash? And I'm glad they addressed that in the mid credit scene by setting that up. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was
I
fantastic.
like the fact that Superman can keep up the Flash. That kind of goes into that.
Well, remember the classic Superman could fly around the world multiple times within seconds.
Yeah.
So he would technically be able to keep up with the Flash.
Yeah. so I mean, I like how they
comic
addressed
book-
that.
Comic book was the Flash could beat up Superman easily. He is so much faster than Superman that like they completely kind of rewrote it for this movie. He is so much significantly faster than Superman in the comics that it's just like while Superman's throwing a punch, he could run, go study a book, come back, like know the physics of how to build a Kryptonian cell and like throw it at him or something. Like, and he also has this thing called Sonic something or other punch where he runs around and he basically hits someone as hard as the force of a exploding dying star, and that's nothing Superman could take. Like that would demolish it.
Sounds like one of the moves from the Injustice video game. So yeah.
Yeah. So
I feel like in order to really appreciate these movies, you gotta have to have played the Injustice video games, because like feel like the new DC universe they've rolled out these last few years is very different than what a lot of the older generations remember. I think that's where I think a lot of the animosity towards these movies comes from. But when you kind of look at the newer DC universe and how it's laid out and how it is a lot darker and more violent, it definitely kind of fits with what these movies are going at. And
Sure.
so that's kind of one thing. So yeah, I mean, hopefully maybe they'll maybe in the Flash movie they bring that out where he's running around the world punching people.
Yeah. And the way I kind of chalked it off was I was like, oh, maybe Barry's still becoming the Flash more and more and more. And they kind of showed that he's like I've only pushed a few people and ran away. Like, so
That part
I think
was
maybe
hilarious.
he's just
They've definitely
not-
got a lot to work with him in his own movie.
Yeah, and I think that maybe they're like, oh, he's not at his top speed yet, and then like all of a sudden, okay, Superman doesn't stand a chance in the next movie or something, But I really did love that after credit scene when they showed him getting ready to race the Flash, and I thought that whole scene was great. And then the whole other after credit scene got me pumped up too. Seeing Joe something, or the guy from the he's in the new Rampage movie. He plays Deathstroke.
He kind of looked like Nick Nolte, to be
Joe-
honest.
He's in the stripper guy movies, Magic Mike movies.
Oh, Channing Tatum?
No,
No,
his
no.
name's Joe.
I'm
Like,
bringing it up now.
no. I don't want to say.
Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know who he is.
Yeah, he's playing Deathstroke, and I just got pumped when I saw him
He was
coming.
Brad in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, he was.
That's how I remember him as.
Yeah, and he was also Flash Thompson in Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man movie.
Really?
The bully.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, you're gonna go back.
So
and
he's
watch
gonna
that.
play Deathstroke, huh?
Yeah.
if Batman's around for it, if Ben Affleck's around for it, because
They're gonna have to. They'll find another Batman. There's always.
oh, how
someone-
hard? I mean, it's not how hard it could be to find another Batman, but then
Yeah.
again, we just got Ben Affleck and saw how hard it can be to get a good Batman.
There was someone I read somewhere that was willing to step up to be Batman if Ben Affleck wouldn't do it.
Mhm.
Can't
I'm sure
remember.
a lot of actors would jump at that in a heartbeat. Be
Yeah.
like, dude, I was Batman.
Yeah. Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anyone who I'd maybe have take over now. It's tough because I mean, you can't have guys double dipping between Marvel and DC, so it's like, the Marvel universe is expanding so much that it keeps grabbing guys before DC can get their hands on them. So that definitely makes it a lot harder to find a good guy to play Batman.
Yeah. I think it's so funny because like on a lot of the casting decisions for these movies, the DC movies specifically, I'm like, what? No, why would you pick him? Especially Ben Affleck at first. But then as soon as I saw him on the screen, I was like, oh, I see what you're going with that. Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's the older Bruce Wayne, so he does kind of capture that. But
Yeah.
And he talks about how he's been doing it for 20 years, so he's gonna be naturally a little tired of it and stuff. So I like that line because it kind of shows like, oh, maybe that's why we don't see Robin anymore.
Well, remember also in the animated series, Batman's also in his 70s or something like that. He's 60s.
Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. I used to love that show.
well, I saw I'm poking around on Twitter and they're talking about Ben Affleck leaving as Batman. He wants a cool way to do it, and I saw someone respond, this would be a great time to set up that Batman Beyond arc, which I'd be so down for.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I think it'd be cool to start setting it. I think they would need like another couple of movies, like showing him like just getting his ass beat more and more as an older man, and
Yeah.
just getting this life taking its toll before finally, and then like all of a sudden during that time, like all these buildings are erected and flying cars are around and stuff in that time. But I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. So I mean, if they could somehow maybe go
They
that
need
way.
to figure something out because Marvel's got the.
Oh, Marvel's blowing them away.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Thor, the standalone movie, completely blew Justice League out of the water.
Yeah,
It's just
Now, how was Thor? I haven't seen that one yet.
I
Thor is
loved
really
it.
funny. It
Yeah.
was.
It was really funny.
Yeah, because one thing they tried to do, they decided to go a different direction, it seems like, on this one, where instead of making it more of a drama action superhero movie, it's just like, hey, let's just make it a comedy with some action involved. And, just show how funny Chris Hemsworth can be.
And that was a conversation the director and Chris Hemsworth had. He was like, I'm kind of sick of Thor. He was like, let's have fun with this one. And the director was totally on board. So that was even one of the reasons why they shaved his head. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, let's just give him a whole new look. Like, let's make him different. And I think it works too, because this is Thor after he spent time hanging out with Tony Stark and stuff. So naturally he's gone a little funnier. And
It's got a little bit more, human to him.
Yeah. So I thought it was great. And the girl that played the Valkyrie too, I forget her name, but she was awesome. The drunk chick, she
Yeah.
immediately falls out the plane and stuff. I thought she was fantastic.
Let's see, who was that?
And Krog too, obviously, the rock guy.
Yeah,
So-
and then I like how they're starting to have Hulk talk a little bit more too. They finally can't just count on him to grunt and everything.
Yeah.
So Lou Ferrigno not voicing the Hulk in this movie, very disappointing. That
Was he not doing that this time?
No, this was the first
Oh.
ever Hulk movie where Luke Ferrigno does not do the.
Who's the voice actor on this one?
Might have been Mark Ruffalo
Okay.
still doing it. I just
That's
yeah.
weak.
very disappointed with that
He
decision.
needs all the work they can throw at him.
Well, he's pretty well off, Lou Ferrigno.
Tessa Thompson, that was Valkyrie.
I'm sure, yeah. Oh, is that the girl that played Valkyrie?
Yeah, Tessa
She
Thompson.
was
I looked at.
great.
She hasn't really been in a whole lot of other things too, so that's pretty good. That her first real mainstream role, she killed it like she did.
She was in some other movie that I saw recently that I thought she did a good job in, but yeah, I wanted, someone was like,
Oh, she
I'd
was in
like-
Creed also.
Oh, that was probably it. Someone said they'd like to see her pick up the Thor mantle, and I'm all about that. I think that'd be great.
She had a
There
spot
definitely
in
has to
Selma,
be
too.
more female heroes
Yeah.
for sure. And I mean, we're seeing now Wonder Woman, but still, like, there has to be a lot.
Well, I mean,
more.
they got they're I think I heard they're working on getting Captain Marvel
No,
into
that's
the Marvel
coming
universe.
out in 2019.
So they got that. But
Yeah.
honestly, though, for DC, though, if they tried doing that, I mean, what other female superheroes could they really do besides one? Zatanna would good. I mean, what we gotta talk about Hawk Girl. I mean,
Hawk. Well, I mean, she was a very important member of the Justice League. So
I've never a big fan of Hawk Girl.
I think
mean,
they'll
I
have
never
to
was.
make up new characters to really.
Zatanna would be a
do
good one, but
something.
after that, I mean,
Super.
well, they're working on a Sirens movie.
So yeah, there's
with-
Black Canary, who's on, and she was responsible for training all the Teen Titans. So that's a way to segue into Teen Titans is having
Alright.
Black Canary on the show. And to
I
add-
always forget about Teen Titans.
Yeah.
That was a good series. The animated.
they're making
movies.
a TV show out of it, a live action TV show.
Okay.
And
My one thing there though is the one problem I think with the Teen Titans is I think in this DC universe they got going right now, Robin's already been killed off.
yeah, I think so too.
So that's-
because
I mean,
they
but of
had
course,
the Joker
They've
stuff
twice
on-
brought people back to life using the
Magic boxes.
the magic boxes in the fancy water. So I mean,
Yeah.
clearly
It's in
there's
water.
well, I mean there is there is some press in the DC universe for the mother boxes and the water and everything. I know there's the Lazarus pools, which
Oh yeah.
they
there's
bring
that.
people back to life. They actually had one of the Lazarus pools appear in Gotham, the Fox TV show, which I don't know if you guys watched
Mhm.
that.
I watched probably 5 or 6 episodes. It
Oh.
was good.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
the show.
I-
It's so ridiculous at times, but I mean the Lazarus pools and the magical water, there's precedent there. The mother boxes, I went and did my research on them online, and pretty much the overall thing is they're boxes with power that can do stuff. So they're essentially plot devices for the most
Yeah.
part.
And it's so funny. I was talking to someone else. He was like, "Dude, whatever happened to the mother boxes at the end of the movie?" And I was like, "I don't even remember. That's how little I cared about it." I was like, "I
Oh,
don't."
they split them up. There
but
was
like,
big
And then, yeah, there we
surge,
go,
and
we did
that
it.
was it,
Well,
right?
they're honestly, it's like take the Tesseract, multiply it by 3, you got the mother boxes.
yeah,
It's just a thing that can do stuff, and then when the movie's over, we just kind of set it aside.
I think one of the biggest parts that was wrong with Justice League was the villain. He was just so forgettable and just so
Yeah.
like the entire movie.
Well,
Every time he
Steppenwolf-
popped up, I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about him."
Steppenwolf, he really doesn't have a huge presence, really, in, well, at least in the animated Justice League TV show. The original one, not Justice League Unlimited, where they bring in 90 billion new characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the original Justice League, he doesn't really have a big role there, which I thought that was kind of interesting. But one thing I did like most about Steppenwolf is it does seem like they're trying to use him to set up a dark side.
He says a dark side line somewhere in the movie.
Yeah.
I forget what it was.
And I remember one of the Justice League cartoons, there's a 2-episode arc of Darkseid teaming up with Brainiac to fight the Justice League. And
Yeah.
if they do kind of something like that down the line, assuming DC gets its act together, not going to happen, but
Yeah.
assuming it does, that I think could be a pretty cool movie down the line.
Yeah, I think and this is, of course, we've said it multiple times already with DC, is that, so if you think about the majority of the viewers going to see these movies, they're not going to be so much into the comics and animated series as some real diehard fans,
Yeah.
right? And so for them, they see these different characters and they're like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to,
Yeah,
to the average
nothing-
viewer. Which, of course,
Exactly, yeah.
that's why I think Marvel kind of has the edge up on DC. Is Marvel, if you're a casual viewer who doesn't know anything about Marvel, everything still makes sense to you when you're watching it. But DC, there's so much depth and backstory. I think, like I said, I played the Injustice, Gods Among Us game all the way through. All these movies make total sense to me. So, like, because a lot of people, I remember the big thing with Batman versus Superman. A lot of the questions people were asking was like, "Wait, why are these two fighting? I thought they're good guys." And it's just like, no, this is the Batman versus Superman story is one of the oldest storylines like in superheroes, but people couldn't contemplate that.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot more depth to the DC universe that the movies don't get into, because I mean it would take forever if they did that.
And Marvel is killing it with a Netflix original series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and all those shows.
which
They got the
Disney is starting their own streaming service and will be
Yeah.
pulling every single thing that they own off of Netflix. So
That's going to be interesting because they're also planning to do Star Wars.
yeah, there's a lot of new live action shows coming out too, and But it's crazy just to think like, what is this streaming service gonna be? What are they gonna be able to also offer us that like wasn't there on Netflix before? So I'm very curious to see what they have.
Well, what they're gonna have to offer that Netflix can is Disney movies.
Yeah,
I mean, what if they bring out all
but
their
I
old
feel like
animated
that's
Yeah,
movies?
but you know what? If they start creating Star Wars and let's say they double up on the number of Marvel series that they have, there's going to be people that pay.
Or
I mean,
also-
I'll pay.
Oh yeah.
I'll pay just
Or-
to watch it, right?
$10 a month, you can get access to Lion King, Pinocchio, Snow White, and all the classic animated movies you watched as a kid growing up. I mean, right there, like, okay, so you got Marvel, Star Wars, and all the cartoons I loved as a kid. You're pretty much cornering the market there.
I think every parent would sign up for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you need to, there's so much because it's Disney. Disney owns like half the universe almost, and the other half's owned by Amazon. So
Yeah. Have you guys seen The Punisher
Love
on
it.
Netflix?
I never
Yeah, it's
honestly, I was
good.
never into the
So
Punisher.
good.
But
It's
but
never
you-
one I really just jumped into.
So try watching the one on Netflix.
Mhm.
It's really, really good.
All right,
It's more of
Yeah.
like a.
I just
a
started
war
watching
show.
Stranger Things, so it's gonna have to wait.
Yeah, Stranger Things is good too.
This like
I'm 3 episodes in, so it's mad at me so far, but
the Punisher show is more of like a tale of a soldier, more of like the vigilante superhero guy. It's like I feel like this is like the realest show that the Marvel Netflix has created so far, just because like all the tones of people coming back from war and suffering from PTSD and like this that and this. I don't know. I just really like the show. I thought it was their best one yet.
Yeah, they really touch on a lot of the PTSD, soldier issues, mental issues, which is obviously a big problem. And then they just turn this regular human guy into a total badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was such a big fan of how they did the trailer originally for the Punisher show. They had a Metallica song playing in the background, and then they edited the bullet, the gun sound effects to the drums of the Metallica song. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
That's all right. So here I got a question. Do you think that the Marvel universe has just set an impossible standard for DC? Because I mean DC clearly got off to such a late start here, in competing with Marvel. I mean, when Man of Steel came out in what 2013?
Yeah, somewhere around.
Yeah, by then Avengers had already come out and they were already cranking out Iron Man 3. So I mean,
The
They got off to
Spider-Man
such a-
movies, the Captain America.
they've got off to
movies,
such a
and-
slow start, and then Marvel just seems to. I mean, even Ant-Man. No one even knew who Ant-Man was. That was still a great movie.
Yeah.
But DC can't seem to get it going. Like, I wonder if just Marvel was so good that people want DC to be Marvel, and that's kind of why that DC doesn't get as much praise as maybe it should get.
Well, I think, yeah, you're right in that Marvel set a certain standard. And I think DC's problem right now is that they're scrambling to catch up.
Yeah.
That they could be different, and they are different, and they should be different. But instead of trying to be different, I think what they're doing is trying to play catch up to Marvel.
And it's killing 'em.
And it is, because what they're doing is, instead of building the stories the way Marvel did and then start combining characters together into a storyline, they're just saying, hey, let's have everyone jump in at once and then we can branch off from that. But that just doesn't work, because you have a lot of viewers that are going and they don't understand these complex stories and the background of the characters. You have to build up to it.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
Marvel just excelled. And I mean, you've got Disney. Disney knows how to make movies. They know how to tell stories. They're experts at that, and that's what they do. So DC can still, I mean, they have enough content, enough characters where I think they just have to be different. And they have to figure out their own way instead of trying to play catch up.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, it's just they're doing the exact opposite of what Marvel did. They're doing the group movies and then tossing out singles afterwards. And the thing why Marvel movies are so successful is you know these characters, you've sat with them through hours of footage already. You feel for these characters, whereas Flash, you're like, oh, this is the first time I've seen him. He's on the screen probably a grand total of 45 minutes, pushing it. And so it's like if he got hurt, I'm like, well, I didn't really know him. That I didn't have that emotional attachment. And I think they also, DC's like, no, we're DC. We're known for being dark and more realistic and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, but that's not exactly what the people necessarily want, right now. And you guys also you need to remember, whereas you want to be dark and realistic, you're also a comic book movie. So don't forget that. So I think they've lost sight of that too.
Yeah, and if they want to go that route, that's fine. But then just be real that your movies are not going to be as big as the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And that's I agree with that.
So
yeah, and it's just, this was their, out of all their movies, this did the worst at the box office opening.
And just considering how expensive it was to make, like, DC's in big trouble right now.
Yeah,
with how much this bombed at the box office.
And the thing with this movie and Batman vs Superman, those titles alone, Justice League, Batman vs Superman, those should gross $1 billion just by the title. It's like those are the movies people wanted to see since they were little boys and girls. They're like, I want to see Batman fight Superman. We never got that. We were never even hinted at that. Like, even being a remote possibility. It was always, there's Batman movies, there's Superman movies, and they're not together. And I think, like, yeah, I don't know.
But when the majority of the public or the movie viewers don't know Justice League, who is that?
Yeah.
Who's in it? And they're not quite sure. It doesn't have that same emotional attachment
They gotta
to
get
where
that. They haven't got the
eventually
brand out there.
Avengers, it's like, oh, my dad saw Iron Man series, and so he knows what the Avengers are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Justice League, well, who's that? Who's in it? And so it's you have all the emotion and build up for the characters of Marvel, where you don't have that with DC. And again, if they want to be like that, different, that's fine. But your movies are not going to gross the way Marvel grosses.
Yeah.
And speaking of Marvel and Disney owning them, Star Wars.
Yeah.
You guys excited for the new one coming out?
Yeah. It's
25 days away.
It's so funny. I see so many people like, oh, is Luke a bad guy? Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And, like, people are speculating so much right now. I'm like, it comes out in, like, what, 15 days, 20 days, something like that. Like, let's just see what happens. Like, don't be the director
I'm not
up
trying
yet.
to get. I'm not trying to get into the whole. Oh, what do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen? Like, honestly, I just want to. I'll experience it, then I'll react. As for the whole Luke going over to the dark. I mean, we have no idea who Luke is right now. It's been over 30 years, 40 years since we.
He apparently went to the original Jedi Temple looking for secrets.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't know what the Luke we last saw in Endor is going to be very different than the Luke we see here on I forget what planet they're on now. So I mean, we have no idea what. I mean, who knows? I mean, the breakdown of Kylo Ren going to the dark side. Who knows how that changed him?
There was online chatter of how Kylo Ren might become good and Rey might become bad.
That would be so lame.
And I was just like,
actually, no, I
that would be
totally,
so
I
lame.
disagree with that. I would love to see a female like Sith or some dark side female. Like, I would love to see that.
Yeah, that would be dope. And I think the movie's gonna be great regardless. Like, I think since
It's kind of hard for a Star Wars movie to be bad.
Yeah.
I consider Attack the Clones the worst one. It's still better than 85% of movies ever made. So
Exactly.
I think especially with Disney behind them, Disney just knows how to make good movies. Like, they do. That's why, like, they acquired Marvel and all this stuff too. And ever since these acquisitions,
they have
the
unlimited
movies are just-
resources too.
Well, look at what they did with the Han Solo directors. They basically got rid of them because they were like, you guys aren't doing this film the way we want the film to be of a Han Solo film. And so they had to leave based on creative differences. But I mean, everyone was saying they just couldn't get it right. The executives just did not like the movie. They wanted the freedom. And then the directors came out later and said, well, we didn't have the freedom to do what we wanted to do creatively. And it's like, well, you're working for Disney making a Star Wars film and a Han Solo. Like, there's a certain level of expectation and certain level of, hey, they've got the money that they're putting this whole production together. You gotta play ball.
And it's
with
one
him.
of the most loaded movies too. I mean, it's I mean, this isn't just any old character. This is Han Solo. This is ask 100 Star Wars fans who their top character is. Probably half of them are gonna say Han. This
They
is
said they were making it into like a comedy, which was really awkward and weird, and people even on set were saying this just doesn't seem right, and so they ended up getting Ron Howard, who came in and took over.
yeah, they did get Ron Howard.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him go more, have him be more Indiana Jones meets Han Solo. Like
that's where they wanted to go with.
that's kind of what it felt like honestly, that's kind of like what it felt like in Force Awakens. I didn't feel like I was looking at an old Han Solo. I honestly felt like I was looking at Indiana Jones dressed up as Han Solo, which I know it seems weird to say, but like when you kind of think about it, it definitely felt like he would become more of an Indiana Jones, adventurous. Things kind of go wrong. It improvises on the fly. Whereas I don't remember Han Solo ever really being in the original trilogy. I don't remember ever being one of those like, what are you gonna do next? Oh, I haven't thought that far ahead. I just don't ever remember that with Han.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the movie, I think it definitely has to have those like really heavy Han elements where he's like really fun and like exciting, but
And a
also
cocky asshole.
But yeah, totally a cocky asshole at the same time, and like, I just really hope they don't mess that up. I think though that they're in safe hands, and like I've put a lot of faith since like Disney started acquiring all these different companies. I feel like all these companies have changed for the better. So I've got a lot of faith in them. So I want to see that. And then I also loved how Fox wasn't giving over the rights to Marvel for a lot of their characters. So now Disney and Marvel is like, all right, let's just acquire Fox.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, you guys don't want to play hard, or you guys don't want to play ball? All right, so we're just gonna buy you out then, like, and just take them. So that's still going on too, and I really hope we get the rights back to the characters. And I think it's really sad that DC sucks as much as they do, because they own all the rights to all their characters. They could do whatever they want, and they just suck so bad. Zack Snyder just like,
I don't know. They better
don't know.
They need to call it Patty Patty Jenkins. Is that her name? Oh my god, I'm totally spacing on her name right now. Yeah, it is Patty Jenkins,
who is she?
the director of Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, she was great. I love that movie.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins. I don't know why yeah, they should just have her direct these DC movies, because I mean, it's no coincidence that the only good movie that came out was the one she directed. So why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And
Yeah.
well, I guess I was reading also big thing with this new Justice League is they started off with Snyder, then went to Joss Whedon.
Well, his
That's
daughter
not-
committed suicide.
Snyder, yeah. So I mean that
So they
you can only
did
do
it,
so much there, but I mean that
And-
kind of threw things out of whack also.
and you could tell throughout the movie all of the reshots they did. Like there was one where Jason Momoa is standing in front of the water, and it's clearly him behind a green screen in one of the shots for the reshoot. And then the Henry Cavill mustache too, like that was there for the reshoots. But
I have to watch the movie again because I honestly didn't notice anything about the mustache because I totally forgot about
man.
that. I feel like it's one that, like, I totally forgot that they had to digitally remove the mustache. So I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't really pay attention or notice it. So I'm gonna have to watch it again and see just how
Oh.
noticeable it was.
See,
I feel like
I knew it was coming, and so like I think I purposely was looking for it, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh God, that's creepy!" Like it did not look well. But I think it's so funny, all the DC, and I say this so loosely, the DC fanboys, because I am a DC fanboy too, because like I prefer reading DC comics over Marvel comics, but I just know Marvel's better at films. But every DC fanboy's like, dude, Zack Snyder's the man. Like, you should just trust him that he's gonna do the right thing and stuff. And my reaction is, based on what? Like, Man of Steel sucked. Like, it wasn't the worst, but it sucked. Suicide Squad was the worst. Like, that was David Ayer, but like these are still under the Snyder DCEUs.
So you say something interesting there. Maybe what DC needs to do is avoid live action films and go all in on
animated. Yeah. Honestly, their animated films kill it.
They do.
Well, their animated series
Justice
kill
League
it.
War, Aquaman, Throne of Atlantis. Those were awesome movies. And they had Justice League Dark that just came out that centered around Constantine's Dark Justice League team. And I thought that was awesome too. Had too much Batman in it, but it was cool for sure.
Yeah, and they do a killing with those movies.
Yeah, it's so
Maybe they need to
great.
switch and go 100% in on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
DC's
they
animated
killed it.
and their animated series too also kill it. Justice League, and of course, the in my opinion, the greatest superhero cartoon ever was the Batman animated series in the early '90s.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. I heard, and I think the Mask of the Phantasm, the movie that they made based on that was made by the directors of the TV show, and they were kind of given creative freedom. They're like, you guys have been killing it on the TV show, make a Batman movie. And so they made up that character for the movie. And I think that was one of the better Batman movies, like live action or animated. Yeah, I think that wouldn't be a terrible idea. It seems like they really do well with animated, but they just don't have what it takes to do live action. Or if they do, they need to hire new staff. I feel like maybe Joss Whedon might have been the saving grace of the Justice League movie because of his reshoots and his re-envisioning of it. I know a lot of the scenes where the Flash was given more dialogue, and they probably added more levity and humor through him and more jokes, and I feel like that was more Joss's doing than Zack's.
Yeah.
Like based off any other movie you've seen by Zack
So
Snyder.
pretty much any part of the movie that was fun and enjoyable was Joss. Anything that was dark and depressing was Zack Snyder.
I mean, like, I don't want to be that like vague about it, but totally, like, like, I mean, when you look at Joss Whedon's record versus Zack Snyder, it's like, yeah, like, it's obvious who you would want to pick to direct your next movie. Like, Joss Whedon has Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Avengers, like all these famous movies under his belt, and Zack Snyder has all these
300.
ones that like only extreme fanboys love. Like,
And 300.
yeah,
Everyone should love 300.
300
yeah.
is good.
I have a theory, by the way. If you take all the slow motion scenes in that movie and play them at regular speed, the
And
movie
300?
yeah, if it would be around 30 to 40 minutes long. The
Yeah.
entire movie.
That's not what we're talking about, though. We're just talking about how
No,
everything is so
no.
awesome, the blood pixelating away. That's my favorite thing about 300 is just how there's so much blood, yet none of it ends up on the ground.
Yeah.
It was funny. I had in high school a very, very bad longboarding accident where I fell going like 37 miles per hour, and we had a guy following us in the car behind us to like track our speed, and and when I fell, he said it looked like a scene out of the movie 300, the way your blood just shot all over. And he said actually there was one difference though. There was a puddle of your blood back there, and you never see that in those movies. So that was pretty good.
All right, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm going up to Portland, visit a friend of mine up there, doing a Friendsgiving this year,
Okay.
taking a break from family.
Nice. I will be going to my sister's in-laws for dinner in Walnut Creek, so that'll be nice and get to see my nephews. It's always nice.
Very cool.
How about yourself?
So I have family pulling us from all directions. So I think we're gonna hit up about 2 or 3 different parties on Thursday.
Wow, so you're going to have 3 different Thanksgivings.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not going to be able to move after all that.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving,
I gotta really make sure not to stuff my face at every single one.
How do you do that?
Yeah, Thanksgiving, usually the meal starts around like, 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then
Some
for
people are-
some reason,
some people are weird
so
and
how
do
you gonna
dinner at-
manage all that?
Some people are weird and do dinner at 1, which is like,
Yeah, they'll do
There's a
like
game on.
lunchtime. Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood that. I'm like, I'm gonna be hungry later. But I mean, that is probably the best part about Thanksgiving is all the leftovers.
Yeah.
that's dinner the next day.
Yeah. Now the best part I have to admit is every single place always gives you to-go food.
Oh yeah.
So you end
totally.
up with 3 times as much to-go food.
There you go. That's a good win.
And then
there.
you've got food for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
I was listening to some stand-up comedian that he was like talking to one of his friends or something, and he goes, "My favorite meal is during Thanksgiving, and my wife makes these cranberries, or I don't remember what he said. Let's just say this cranberry dish that I love. And he goes, well, why do you only get it at Thanksgiving if that's your favorite meal? That seems kind of like a dick move for your wife to do if she only does it for you once a year. And he's like, I never thought of it that way. Like, she should be making that all the time.
It is weird, there's something about Thanksgiving food. It's only enjoyable on Thanksgiving.
Right.
Like, have you ever had, like, how often do you actually have stuffing not on Thanksgiving?
I've
had it a couple times, like, oh yeah, this is good. You know what make this better? Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. Maybe that's why. Yeah, he could make the cranberry, stuff on the other day of the year. But like, you can also have your birthday 5 months before. Does it really count? Like,
Totally.
no, it's the holiday that makes the food taste good.
Yeah, true.
What's your guys' go-to side dish aside from stuffing and mashed potatoes? Because that's everyone's
I
go-to
was
side
gonna
dish.
say the mashed potatoes. Stuffing's always good. I'm trying to think if there's.
Got hungry for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird. I wonder what just.
Oh my God.
Usually I do like white meat turkey mixed with dark meat turkey, mashed potatoes, and then I just repeat. That's it.
nice.
Just repeat.
I like making a sandwich
Um,
with the little dinner rolls.
Oh yeah.
My mom makes scalloped potatoes that I like a lot.
That's good.
Actually, we normally have mashed potatoes, scallop. We've got everything. I feel like
All the potatoes.
because there's someone that prefers scalloped over mashed or something. So
Yeah.
we always have it all.
I've always been a big fan of that. My grandma would make them pearl onions.
Oh, those are good.
She would grill them up. Oh my god, those things are
I
incredible.
don't think I've ever had that before.
My mom does that, but she adds peas to them, which you're like, why would you add peas to that? I don't know, but it's fantastic.
All right. If it ain't broke.
Yeah.
I did have an amazing mac and cheese one time.
Ooh.
Yeah, like 4 types of cheeses all mixed in, and then like breadcrumbs on top, and
It's the
like,
breadcrumbs.
just-
See, it's the breadcrumbs on top that you gotta have.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have the breadcrumbs on top, you might as well just be serving Kraft. You know,
Yeah.
Not to ditch Kraft, not to dog on Kraft. Kraft is a great mac and cheese brand, but come on, it's Thanksgiving. You gotta.
I thought you were about to say not to dog crap for a second.
Yeah, no, not the dog on Kraft, but yeah, Kraft's a great mac and cheese brand, but no, it cannot hold its way at the table on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you guys ever been to Homeroom out in Oakland?
Yes, that place is so good.
It's so funny. Mac and cheese is like one of my favorite dishes. Like, and I always try to find new inventive ways of cooking it, whether I'm adding like 5 kinds of cheeses or whatever. And everyone's like, I'm 31. They're like, how have you never been to Homeroom in Oakland?
When was the first time you went?
I haven't been yet.
What?
I haven't
Yeah.
been, I haven't
Okay,
been either,
so-
so I.
Okay, so you guys have to go. Now, it is a little tough when you sit down and you start looking at the menu and you're like, I'm literally about to pay $25 for mac and cheese.
Yeah.
That's a little tough to swallow at first, but then when you get it served in front of you, it's amazing.
It's worth it.
It's so worth it because you customize everything. They have pre-made ones, but you can customize stuff like, mac and cheese with hot dogs and beef inside with potato
nice.
chips crumbled on top, and yeah, just a whole bunch of different varieties.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did when someone was suggesting it. I looked up their menu to see. I'm like, okay, let's see how good this place is. And I saw pictures, and I was like, I think the hardest thing for me getting there would be choosing which one to get. Those all look phenomenal.
Yeah, you'll have to get one to eat there and then another one to go. But
a good
you're still
idea.
not going to be able to eat the one there because it's a huge portion.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely go check it out.
What are you guys drinking on Thanksgiving?
Wine.
I this year for the first time I will be making this Puerto Rican drink that I learned how to make while I was living there. Oh God, the name is escaping me right now, but it's made with rum. It's kind of like a horchata eggnog almost.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's killing me that I can't remember the name. But yeah, it's fantastic.
I'll probably be I'll be in Portland, so there's definitely gonna be some microbrews present. And
They have
then-
a lot of microbrews there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean Portland. Outside of the Bay Area, Portland's probably the most beer centric place there is.
I've had so many people tell me to go to Portland because it's so much fun.
It's a nice city. It's not the most pretty looking city, but it's definitely a very nice, very laid back city. It's because people talk about how laid back the Bay Area is. Like Portland makes the Bay Area look completely wound up.
Wow.
and that which is really saying something. It is a very easygoing, friendly city.
Cool.
Coquito is the name of the drink.
Coquito.
Yeah, I
Just
could
sounds
not
fun
think
to
of it.
say.
It's super good.
Coquito.
Yeah. So, yeah. Answer your question. That's what I'll be making.
Okay. I'll have to look up the recipe on that one.
Super good. Really, really good. You won't be able to drink much of it though. It's a very thick drink, so you have like one or two, and then you switch to beer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. This
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just
Thank you for
completely
having
different
us.
than the other episodes.
I know, it's-
Something fun for Thanksgiving.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubman. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at markguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.